Welcome to episode 25 of Venti Questions, the show with friends, coffee, and conversation. I'm Michael.
And I'm Chris. And today we're talking about aliens. Have we been visited by otherworldly beings? Ooh. Are they walking among us now?
Ah,
Or are we the only form of life in this galaxy?
that would be depressing.
What do we think about aliens?
I want to believe, Chris.
The truth is out there, Michael.
Oh. Anyway, make sure you listen all the way to the end to find out how we actually feel about aliens.
Yeah. So, what is new with us?
Well, with us,
What's new with us?
I would say we are making a board game, question mark? I don't know what it would really be. We're making a game.
We're making a game.
It doesn't necessarily have a board right now, but it does have like track pieces that you put
Yeah.
down on a tabletop.
Yeah. So how this really started was when I was in London, I was watching the last race, F1 race of the season.
Right.
And I'm like, well, it's over now. So what am I going to do that's maybe going to kind of occupy that void for
Yeah.
like F1, like racing or whatever?
Because you really have gotten into it a lot
Yeah.
in the last year. So
Enjoy it. So then I started looking at, for some reason, games, like board games that might have like a racing type theme, because then I know that you're into gaming.
Right.
Like games like tabletops and stuff.
No, I love playing. I like playing like legitimate board games. Like, don't give me Monopoly or like Parcheesi or any of those crappy like
Chutes and
stereotypical
ladders?
games. I don't want to play the game of life, you know. But you give me like Ticket to Ride or like a Pandemic or any of like the more European style games
Risk.
where there's Risk is okay. It's probably the only mainstream American game that I'm like, I'll play that. But I want to play Risk Legacy, which is a game that you have to play it 15 times, and each time you do it, the stats from the first one goes into the next one. You rip open different little extra
like-
things and stickers and
Like a campaign.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I like crunchy munchy. Yeah. I don't like simplistic.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So I looked up a bunch of different racing, like kind of tabletop games or themed to the games that way, to, get us into it. And I found one that I liked in particular that I thought you would like because it's more tactile. And it was called Pitch Car.
Yeah.
Pitch Car is not in production anymore.
No, so
Try to order it. It is expensive.
so basically what went down is the first night that we got together post you coming back from England, you told me about this, and you told me the basic principle where it's like a little round, like a like button shaped disc thing, and you kind of flick it around a cardboard track. And it's the whole point of like, oh, my turn flick, okay, your turn flick. And so it's kind of like if you put like a like curling and like shuffleboard and all those kind of things together, but then make it into a race.
Right.
Sounds super cool. As soon as you started telling me about it, I'm like, that sounds 3D printable. And so I started immediately looking up STL files, and it took me like a minute and a half before I started finding some.
Yep.
And then you started telling me more about it, like while I was looking it up, and that's when you were telling me like, oh yeah, it's like super expensive out of print. And I'm like, dude, I can just print this crap.
Right.
Fast forwards a couple of really late nights.
Yeah.
And we took a very, very simplistic, my turn, haha, your turn, haha, game, and we've made
Modified
it crunchy.
Yeah. Modified
So
it.
basically what we've decided to do is we are trying to emulate what it would be like to have a complete F1 season with 10 teams where each player controls one team and the other 8 teams, if you're only playing 2 players, would be simulated by the like NPCs.
Right.
So basically, I turned it into a tabletop RPG.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then coming up with a rule set, which is also semi-realistic to the rules of
right.
F1, and then even down to like the pit crew and management and like having different financial aspects of it. So you're kind of managing it, even the funds, sort of like Monopoly in that sense.
Very, very, very similar. Basically, in the sense where to break it down to its most simplistic aspect, it's still so far, because this is a work in progress, but by us talking about it, it means that we are forcing ourselves to continue on with it because people might actually ask.
Yeah.
But like, the most simplistic aspect of it is it's you trying to get around the track X amount of times, right? We're going to be counting how many flicks it takes to do this. And that's going to equivalent to some sort of like how long it took to go around the track.
Right.
Then we're utilizing that to simulate for the computer or NPC teams, utilizing that same average for whatever the track is, then rolling on dice a variable aspect based upon the statistics of not only the car, the driver, but then also just chance.
Right.
And it gets way more complicated past that. But it's kind of cool. This week, I was actually able to finally print off some of the actual like track pieces on my FDM printer. And it wasn't 100% perfect. I had to then kind of like grind them down a little bit to fit in together because it's like puzzle pieces to fit. Mm-hmm. But once you did that, it was really cool. It works really fine. It was just a sample piece of like every style, so like it's not actually like a full track or anything like that. But then I also started designing the actual 3D cars to go inside the little disc.
Yep.
And so the tactile pieces we're narrowing in. I don't think we're there yet by any means, but I think we're getting closer in that regard.
We have an idea of kind of what size we want.
Right. And I think for me personally, it's one of those, the reason why I'm trying to get the tactile portion down is so that then we can actually start playing a little bit of just like messing around, which is kind of like research of like, okay, what's the probability of us absolutely flipping the car? Mm-hmm. Now that I know the probability of it, now I can put in a correct equation into simulation possibilities of them flipping the car.
Sure.
So it's, one step at a time kind of thing.
Yeah, that's going to be by track too, really.
Absolutely. So, well, because that's the other thing is that the idea is that we're going to try to emulate the actual real tracks.
Yep.
We're building a game that then basically has like 3, maybe 4 different modes, right? Mm-hmm. We have just like a regular player 1 versus player 2.
Right. Flick at will.
Yeah, which is just like, hey, who gets to run the track first, right? Basically a rip off a pitch car. Mm-hmm. Then we have the fantasy draft, where it's us utilizing drivers and teams and sponsors and cars and blah, blah, blahs that are 100% original, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the like fantasy mode, where it's the same basic thing, but we take... This is where it gets really math and crunchy. We take the actual results of the F1 race for that weekend and turn those lap times into the equivalent amount of flicks to then be able to race against the actual drivers on the actual track itself.
Mm-hmm. So we can sim the season.
Basically. Exactly. And then there's the fourth one, which I feel like is what we're going to end up with, which is it's actually a board game now.
Right.
And that's probably just going to be dice rolls.
Yeah.
And I think that's just going to be kind of like the manager mode, where it's like, there's no longer the flicking, but it's all about I need to get that principal because he's going to give me a +2 overall on my thing. And if I get this better pit crew, then I might be able to take off like 3 flicks per lap. And
the flicking is going to be going through the motions.
Exactly.
And then the rest is going to be just managing the game, right?
Exactly. And it's just like the manager mode. And I think that would actually be really fun too.
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing is that theoretically, this could be a game that we make to where we could almost play it by ourselves in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to. We haven't really done much else this week, so we just kind of like decided to share it.
Yeah.
So
work's been busy. So
yeah, honestly, me too. And then I got a little bit behind on all of the editing and stuff just because life. So I was able to get everything done, but that kind of like didn't leave a lot of room for other stuff.
I hear you.
But what are we drinking today, Chris?
Well, what did we drink today, or what are we drinking right now?
So we're changing the script a little bit.
Yeah.
The coffee for tonight was Expedition Roasters Beans from Outer Space, which is the best part of the entire coffee. The name.
The name and the packaging.
Yes. The packaging is awesome. It's branded with like aliens and UFOs and whatnot. It's a flavored type of coffee, which is peanut butter cup. Mm-hmm. It was a whole bean, so we did actually grind it ourselves, and it's based out of Westwood, New Jersey. And that being said,
it smelled delicious.
It was.
And that's it.
It was not one that we liked. Now we are, we did actually record us drinking it, which I'm very grateful that we did now, because there's no way that I would be able to
do that through this.
No, there's no way. So we did drink a cup of coffee with it, just regular black, and then also a cup of coffee with cream and sugar.
I've had 2 sips of both.
Right. Yeah. Chris did his customary 2-sip.
Yeah.
So I think for this, we're just going to go ahead and give like our overall scores. So for the black coffee itself, overall, you gave a what?
18.
18. Which normally I'd make fun of you for being so low, but I gave a 22.
Yeah.
It was, for not trying to be mean, revolting.
It was bad.
I felt it almost come up a couple of times. Like I'm not exaggerating. It was probably one of the worst coffees I've ever tasted.
No, that's without the cream and sugar.
Not
right?
black, yeah.
Yeah.
Now with cream and sugar, there was a drastic increase in overall.
When it's hot.
When it's hot.
I gave it a 62.
And I gave it a 64. The one thing I will say is that it's a peanut butter cup.
That didn't
there
taste
was
like peanut butter.
No peanut butter flavor whatsoever. Now there was a cocoa flavor hidden in the background once you added cream and sugar. It was bad. It really was. If you really want to see just how bad it really was, make sure you check out our review on it. Checking out on the rest of the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so it was so bad that it's not necessarily family friendly. Certain choice words were stated from myself about my true feelings upon it. So let's not care.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, overall, it was a big disappointment. I'm not gonna lie. Like this was like maybe one of like 3 of the ones for this season that I was like super excited for, and it's a real big letdown.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. Unfortunately,
kind of sad.
Didn't live up to expectations, right? So.
Yeah. The other one that I was really looking forward to was the Death Wish, and I know you hated it.
Yeah,
but
disgusting.
I actually really enjoyed it. So
yeah,
I'm 1-1, but still.
Yeah, no.
Cool. So now I got some would you rathers for you.
Well, before that, what are we drinking now?
Oh, there. So we are still drinking something different. We decided for the first time to try some of the flavored Red Bulls.
Yeah.
So you have which one?
It's like a fig apple.
Fig apple. And I have the watermelon, I think.
Watermelon.
Yeah, watermelon. Have you tried yours yet?
No.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, boy.
Better or worse than the coffee?
That is delicious.
Really?
I would drink that.
Okay. All right. Well, I gotta follow suit. It's like a freaking Jolly Rancher.
That's what this is like, kind of.
This is delicious. We've been talking so much junk about the flavored Red Bulls. Oh, man.
They got me. They won me over on that one.
You know what?
I keep holding it.
They can race a car and they can make a good drink. There we go.
Wow.
Okay. So, fun would you rather for you.
All right.
Would you rather the aliens that make first contact be robotic or organic in nature?
Ooh.
All right. Thought provoking.
That's a tough one.
I know.
And I'm going to walk you through my thought process.
Okay.
Here,
Okay.
and then you can do the same. If they were organic, there could be a possibility of a odd breeding situation.
Wow.
Right? That can get weird, right? We don't want that. I don't know what type of
Speak for yourself.
phalanges or
Okay.
things they got going on.
Move along.
So I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Right?
Fair.
It could be a good thing. Who knows? The robotic, they might want to like assimilate. I'm thinking like Doctor Who dialects. Like I don't know. I know you don't know what they mean.
No, I know.
That's okay.
I know what they are.
Okay.
It's a
or
that's very popular.
the Cybermen, like where they take people over basically, and that's
or like the Borg. From
okay,
Star
that's
Trek.
a good one. Yeah, like Borg, right? So I don't know. It's like bad either way. Probably organic.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with organic.
Okay. So I have a follow up. By the way, each one of these would you rather's, I do have a follow up question.
Oh,
Okay.
zinger.
Who would be able to enslave our planet easier? The robotic or the organic?
Probably the robotic, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, so you would prefer to have robotic,
Right.
and you also think robotic would be able to take us over faster.
No. I said prefer organic.
Sorry, you said prefer organic.
Yeah.
I apologize.
And that's funny enough, that's the reason.
It's because you feel like we have a chance?
Yeah.
No, see, I almost 100% agree with you on that. Not because of the whole breeding possibility.
Nah,
but my thing,
you never know,
is
you
that
know?
the way I look at it is that there's a possibility of emotion from an organic, but from a robotic, it's just going to be logical, and humans are the worst thing for this planet.
Sure.
And so we're not going to live long if it's robotic, in my opinion. And also, robotic, we have a less chance, I feel like, being able to beat in like a war.
Yeah. Aside from like magnetism, you know.
But here's the thing, if they're intelligent enough to be sentient beings that were able to travel space,
Yes.
they probably aren't going to get affected by an EMP. In my mind, I could be totally wrong. You know what I mean? But
Exactly. I think when I think organic, I think the movie War of the Worlds,
right,
where the common cold took them down.
Or what's the other one with Marky Mark, the M. Night Shyamalan? The Happening?
Signs.
No, not that one.
Oh.
With Marky Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The one where the plants were the bad guy.
Yeah, that was The Happening. I want to
The
say.
Happening? Yeah, I never saw it.
That's not like an alien one, right? Is it?
I don't know, but it was plants.
No, that was Mother Nature that was fighting back.
Yeah, it was Mother Nature fighting back. Well, Mother Nature.
Signs was the alien one with M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I know.
Mel Gibson.
That was the one where they were allergic to water.
Basically, yeah.
Swing away.
Right. And they were organic.
Yeah, I know.
So,
organic, we win. Robotic, we lose.
Yeah, they could, because literally
the Matrix.
They'd have to adjust to our.
Technically, I realized the robots from the Matrix are not aliens. Okay, I get it. But we still lost. Skynet, we lost. Like anything that has to do with robots, humanity loses.
I think so.
So yeah. All right. Next one.
Okay.
Would you rather live in space, as in like in a space station, or on another planet?
It's a good question. I think I don't think it matters. I think it'd be the same. Right? As we know right now, when we'd have to terraform a planet in order to live on a planet.
Correct.
Unless we're living in a base,
a bubble
on
basically.
A planet,
yeah.
which is basically the space station. You know? Yes
and no.
Because I guess on the space station, is there more of a risk of something, space debris, hitting it, and then we're all done? Versus, are we shielded by a planet in some regards where if it hits, like the chances are probability is less that it's going to hit our particular area if it's like an asteroid that hits?
I guess the thought process of when I made the question, in full disclosure, I was thinking about like futuristic Gundam Wing type situation, the space colonies versus the Earth in that regard. So like you're not worried about space debris. And then if you're on another planet, you're not worried about like a hurricane messing you up or something. You know what I mean? Like it's, hey, we fully colonized this planet. Do you want to be a man that lives on Jupiter, or do you want to be a dude that lives in the space convoy that's constantly floating around?
Right.
That was more like the thought process of the question. Sorry. It made perfect sense in my mind when I read it, but obviously you don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I meant by it.
Yeah. I guess it would depend on the planet, right? Right. Because each planet will have the extremes, you know, extreme cold, extreme heat, and then I know we'll be shielded from that with whatever technology we have.
Right.
But if there's, I think it'd be cool to be on a planet and then constantly try to explore that planet and figure out what we can do to, I guess, colonize the planet itself and grow on the planet. So I'll go with the planet.
Follow up. What planet? You have 8 choices.
Yeah, no, I don't
8.5 if you want to still count Pluto.
I don't know. What is Pluto anymore? Like,
Pluto is some sort of like mass thing. And there's technically a planet after Pluto, like Planet X or some
there
stupid
are
thing.
plenty of planets.
I'm talking about in our solar system, bro.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the planets to really make an educated
I'd pick
guess.
Jupiter.
Would you?
Yeah. Big
Why?
as all hail.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
My thought process with Jupiter is that it's so large that the exploration aspect would be much larger opportunities, right? And also, don't quote me on this because I'm no expert, but I believe the gravity is greater there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, which is the only reason why I don't want to be in the space station. Because if you're in a space station when that type of artificial gravity, once again, in science fiction type things, a lot of times you actually can't travel down to most planets because your body is not capable of handling the gravity compared to what we're born into if you're on a space station.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's a whole fun fact in a lot of different animes and stuff.
I don't know. All I know is we're going to the moon again. So.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Really?
You didn't know that?
Christopher?
Mm.
How would I know that?
Because you live on the moon. I don't know.
Next one. So this is our last one. I just had a quick one for you. This one, I actually think this one's fun though. Would you rather go to war with the xenomorphs from Alien or the Yaotuja from Predator? I had to look up what they're called and the correct pronunciation.
Yeah. I'll go with the Yahotuja.
Really?
It's Yautja. Yeah.
Yautja.
From Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You know why? Because in the movies, we've teamed up with them before to fight the aliens.
Okay.
And like earn their respect. There's like a respect thing.
We still haven't seen Prey either, which we gotta.
Yeah, I gotta see that. I think, you can earn their respect as a warrior because they're a warrior species, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do enough cool warrior things.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe. With the aliens, it's like those are just predators. Like, funny enough. They're just gonna do one thing. They're gonna breed and kill.
Okay.
Which is what they do.
Right.
I mean, right?
Right.
Uh-huh.
This is my reasoning. I agree. I also would want to fight them, the predators, because xenomorphs are insane. Because whatever they latch onto, they then change into a form of.
Right.
So, like, if a house cat gets hit with one of these things, now you have to deal with some weird freaking hybrid feline version of a xenomorph.
Right.
And then it gets a bird, and now there's a flying xenomorph. Like, I don't want to deal with that.
Right.
Give me some invisible dude that goes, and I'll be fine. Okay. Like something.
What are you calling a squirrel?
That's what it sounds like when they do the little like thingy. Don't make fun of me for doing the sound accurately, you schmuck. Let's hear you do it.
That's all right. We're
exactly. So my follow up on this one though is, which movie franchise is better?
All right. So this will be controversial because people are like, Ridley Scott's the best, and all that. So
I don't curse in this show, so yeah, he can go himself. I don't like Ridley Scott at all.
There were some, they were good movies. There were some good components of those movies, which are, I can definitely see why people like them. I like more of the cheesy 80s action movies. So because of that, I'm going to go with Predator.
Yeah.
Only because, Arnold's got my heart when it comes to that one. And then, the spin-offs are okay. They're all right. I like the first one. I like the second one. And then I can really go either way in any of the other ones.
I will say,
I didn't see Prey, this last one. I heard it was really good.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but amazing things about Prey. I have only seen in the Alien franchise, Alien, and then I've seen bits and pieces of all the other ones.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first Predator movie, and then bits and pieces of all the other ones. And then I saw Alien vs. Predator, which was probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I'm right there with you, though. I'd rather watch a action style movie than a suspense thriller / horror, because I'm a big fat wimp.
Yeah. Well, the Alien, it is more like a horror movie, right? As opposed to Predator movies, they're more of, it's more of an action movie. He's more of he's a hunter, right?
It's more of a slasher movie than it is a horror, where the other one, like I said, it's much more suspenseful.
Well, monster movie, right?
Monster movie. That's a better accurate rendition, better than slasher.
Right. But I will say the Alien movies are probably better movies.
Like
directed, writing, that kind of thing, all of that.
They're not supposed to be popcorn movies.
Right.
They're supposed to be like serious movies.
And the universe and all that, it's just a little bit, probably is done a little bit better.
The universe thinks very highly of itself, though. So let's not go into that. The whole Prometheus bull crap and all that.
Yeah, but those were actual, more, as I said, more acclaimed than the cheaper Predator movies, right?
Read some reviews. It's pretty bad.
No, but what I'm saying is there are people who will swear by it because those are the true fans.
Yeah.
You don't have the same kind of true fans for the Predator movies because they're not as good. They know they're bad,
There are true fans.
They're not winning awards.
For Morbius, okay? Let's be realistic. Anything has a person.
Those are Jared Leto fans.
Not even Jared Leto can say that.
No.
Those are more, what's his name? Matt. I can't think of his last name now.
I don't know what you're saying.
Matt Smith.
Oh.
Yeah. The other main actor from Morbius.
Yeah.
So moving right along, we're going to go on to our main topic of aliens.
Aliens.
Every time you say it like that, I think you're saying alien.
No.
The dolphins. The dolphins.
No.
Every time. That's what I think.
Jeez.
So a couple of pointers on these things, right? So the first one I looked at was the pyramids themselves, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's a big conspiracy on whether or not the pyramids were built by people,
aliens,
or alien. Here's the thing. The original thought process, of course, was that the Egyptians enslaved a bunch of people and the slaves built the pyramids, right?
Sure.
Now, in recent times, that has been disproved by archaeologists and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
They now say that it was built by extremely skilled workers that were paid a very fair wage. Which I'm just really? Did you see their tax returns? How do you know how much they were paid? I don't buy that. I feel like you're just trying to save face now because now slavery is looked at way differently than it was maybe a couple hundred years ago.
Right. So let's not look at these big monuments as something that
is negative or tainted. Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
But a couple of the points that people typically make are as follows. The stones themselves were what was it?
Limestone?
Yeah, the big limestone pieces were over 2 tons each.
Yeah.
They were hauled on top of each other to create the way they were built. There's what was it, no ramps or so if they were going to build that today in the US, it would still be difficult because even like our hydraulic systems and whatnot, they'd be like maxing out at all times. So just to recreate it with today's technology, it's possible, but it would be a struggle, which is also kind of like, okay. So that's a point in the weird aspect. All right. Then the other big thing is the fact that the, what is it? Which one are they aligned with? They're aligned with Orion's belt, which is crazy because of the fact that how much advanced astrology and math would have to have been correlated to get it so that where the three pyramids align perfectly with Orion's belt.
Yeah, that calculation is... Yeah.
That to me is like crazy, but also every generation has geniuses in every aspect.
Not just that. What else were they thinking about all day?
It's not like they were freaking playing Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like I feel like their astrologers were probably doing this all that night.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's during a time where they were trying to master and figure out the cosmos, the universe, everything. Like that was what they were thinking about all the time, doing all the time. They were constantly, trying to put things together, right?
Right.
I mean, there was time. So,
well, my main thing with that is that I've watched a lot of these documentaries over the years that basically the same footage recycled over and over and over, right? I mean, I remember watching it in Apatello's freaking U.S. history or world history class in 10th grade. And one of the things is that, they did like the whole log thing where they pushed it and they had a bunch of people pushing and pulling. And then like they had like different countermeasures to be able to lift it up. And like some of the ways they did the pulley system was like they would use one stone to help lift the next stone. And so, who knows?
I laugh. It was just like a huge pile of things that were there that they just carved out and just chipped away. So instead of building it up, they just threw them down.
Oh, that's so
not as advanced as you thought, huh?
It's like, oh yeah, it was
gravity.
Pretty easy, guys. But yeah, so that's the thought process on pyramids, right?
Yeah, but even just the accuracy in carving them and so on, like.
I don't quote me on this part because I didn't look this part up, but I feel like there was at one point I remember hearing that like you couldn't take a piece of paper and put it in between the stones. It was something that you couldn't put in between because they were so close and perfect. But I don't remember what the heck that thing was.
Like cut by like water, like
like a water laser type way we cut things now.
Yeah, and
they're all perfectly the same size, which is one of the other things that they say is like that's impossible. I'm like, is it though? Like, if that's the only thing you do for your entire livelihood is just like you cut the thing, right?
Yeah.
What, they were incapable of measuring twice, cut once? Really? Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So,
but it is stone. You're dealing with stone. So
I get it. But the ones that you chipped, you throw them away.
Yeah.
Like, it was a pharaoh. He had the freaking capital.
Well, on top of that, they're damaged now. They're not great in condition now.
You don't know for a fact
they were perfect.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how geologists. I don't know that profession, so I can't really speak on it. But so then the next big thing that I looked up, and I don't mean like literally, and then nothing else happened for like 300,000 years. No, is like the big Roswell incident.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be 100% upfront. I knew what Roswell was. The fact that there was some
TV show, right?
You're so funny. Yeah. But that there was some sort of like spaceship landing thing, and now it's like the alien capital of the world and all this kind of junk, right? I had no idea what it really was. So I looked it up, and it was actually kind of interesting. So
tell me more.
Oh, I shall. So in 1947, there was a farmer on like the outskirts of Roswell. And he was like doing his stuff, like like farming and like checking the fields and all this kind of crap. And he found, and I have it open so I can actually say the exact of what he found. This is great entertainment. Me looking for something. The material included tinfoil, rubber strips and sticks. So he found it. Then he went to the sheriff and was like, what the F is this? Right? The sheriff then reached out to the Air Force base that was right there and was like, hey, we found this. And then the Air Force base immediately issued a press release that stated that a flying disc had been retrieved from a local ranch. The Roswell Daily Record immediately picked up the story and released a story on the 8th of July, printing with the headline, RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. It says almost immediately the military was like, hold up, that's not what happened. Hold up, calm down. Even though they had just released a statement saying that they had found a flying disc. Immediately after it was put into the press, they stated that the saucer had actually been a weather balloon carrying a radar target, a device somewhat like a box kite made of foiled paper fastened to a balsa wood frame.
Okay.
So that's what they claimed it was.
All right. Sounds plausible. Okay.
Sounds plausible. Sounds a little sketch that the Air Force base said, like, hey, we found a flying saucer. And then as soon as people in the press started to talk about it, immediately the military then came back and was like, no, it was a weather balloon.
Could have been something simple like Steve was working that day.
Exactly.
And Steve really didn't know what he was talking about.
Now, here's the fun part. In 1984, documents surfaced that were alleged to be classified memos concerning a program called Majestic 12 that was launched by President Harry S. Truman.
Yep.
The document determined to hold on. Uh-oh. Oh, the documents turned out to be considered fakes, though, later. Now, what these actual documents stated was that it was a program that they were utilizing to be able to. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I take all of that back. I'm sorry. It's a long list of things. That was not the one I meant to talk about. In 1994, I apologize.
94.
The Air Force admitted that the recovered material was in reality from a U.S. spy balloon that was designed to anticipate nuclear tests by the Soviet Union.
Yeah, so probably that many years later, it's declassified at this point, and they can talk about it. So all this is adding up.
It was part of Project Mogul. It was and that's the official thing of it now.
Sure.
But because of the fact that there was so much speculation of different things, of what it was, and then the whole conspiracy of it,
half truths and take backs,
and in a time frame where there wasn't the internet to Google it, right? It was like this guy told that guy, who then told a guy, who told a relative, who told a friend, you know? And so, it kept spreading. And over the years, this small little tiny city in the middle of the desert was like, cha-ching. They now have like the biggest UFO like museum type thing in the world, all kinds of crazy stuff. If you've ever seen any show or movie that goes through Roswell, all of those like crazy like things that you see like on the billboards like that, that's all real. Like you can Google Maps that junk. It's hilarious. Like it's very much a aliens are here kind of town.
Of course. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting though, because I never actually knew what the whole conspiracy was. For some reason, I thought that there was like the conspiracy of like there was a crash landing and there was multiple bodies found and blah, blah, blah. I didn't find any of that. So, and then I know you were looking up the whole aspect of the Pentagon released stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, during COVID around that time where that was the biggest hype.
The biggest hype train.
The Pentagon admits that, yes, there are UFOs. And yeah, so then that kind of just happened. It's interesting. There are 510 categorized sightings.
That's crazy.
Or of UFOs. So where they've like cataloged their like what they are, I guess, or what they speculate them to be, right?
Right. Okay. And here's
like reported
a clarification. And I think everybody knows this, but nobody actually thinks about it. UFO just means unidentified flying object.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it's from an alien.
Right.
A UFO could be somebody's throwing a rock real high.
And really what they refer to as now is unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's
UAP.
Oh. Phenomenon starts with a P.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Intelligent life, remember?
And it was a good John Travolta movie.
It was actually an excellent John Travolta movie, and it's a horrible spoilers. It was just a freaking tumor. I don't buy it.
Come on.
I don't buy it.
There's more to it.
He was a mutant.
He was a mutant. The first mutant. So
they may not have said it, but it's canon.
It's canon.
Look into that movie. Bet you ain't something you're going to see Marvel Entertainment somewhere in there. It was the very first Marvel movie.
It was the first one. But so they're like, since I think March 2021, there's been another 366 like new sightings, like oddly enough.
Yeah.
So kind of how it breaks down is 163 were attributed to like weather balloons or balloons.
Okay.
Of some sort.
Cool. Can we pause for just half a second?
Yeah.
What in the hell do we need weather balloons for anymore? I'm not
the
trying
weather, Michael.
Yeah, I walked into that one. That's fair. And I'll own that. But are we really still utilizing weather balloons for our information?
I think there are.
Is that like the most high-tech thing? We don't have like a drone?
It's not for about high tech because it just floats there, you know?
Like a drone?
I guess, but I'm sure it's more cost effective than a drone, less technology involved. I mean, it's a balloon.
Okay, cool.
You know? I don't know. I don't know much about weather balloons.
Neither do I. I
Except
feel
for
like
the fact that people think they're UFOs all the time.
Which is fair, but I feel like that's just something that's so, this is going to sound so stupid, 80s and earlier.
Yeah.
I don't even feel like weather balloons should be 90s.
I'm sure there are more advanced, you know?
Yeah, okay, here's
weather
my thing.
balloons.
I'm probably thinking of, I guess in my mind, a weather balloon is a really, really big, no, not that bad, but pretty close. A really big balloon, maybe like the size of like a 10 foot by 15 foot, a little bit smaller than like a hot air balloon, that then has like, I don't know, like a Wi-Fi.
Right.
And that's it.
But maybe not even weather balloons, maybe just actual balloons with helium that people like let go and then go into the air and people see from a distance and think that it's something different. And I know that sounds silly, but
I have had to do a double take before. We live in,
what is that? You know?
Yeah, we live in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
So we have multiple theme parks all around.
Yep.
Where little kids get balloons.
Yep. And those metallic ones that are different shapes and stuff.
The ones that have a balloon inside of a balloon, those can look really funky. Yeah. Like, 800 feet up in the air.
Yeah. But most of these are probably weather balloons. Anyway, so I think 26 were considered uncrewed aircraft systems.
So that would be like a
drones.
Drone. Okay.
Yeah. So, and maybe for use of spying or whatever else, right?
Yeah.
Either U.S. or non-U.S.
Because here's the thing, like, and that's not to put words in your mouth or the report's mouth, but like, if there's 26, that doesn't mean they only saw 26 drones. That means they found 26 things that they know for a fact were unmanned, but aren't necessarily positive of what they were. They probably saw tons of drones that they're like, that's a drone.
That's why they fit into that category of UAP. Right. Because they don't know for sure, but they know what it is, but they don't know where it comes from, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Right?
They know what it's not.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then 6 were attributed to airborne, like trash, like clutter. So, and that's even considered birds, and then plastic bags. Like aerial plastic bags is what it says. So like
Like
Plastic
that
bags
one,
just floating in the
what's
wind.
that one?
American
stupid,
Beauty?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, thank you.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say. Yeah,
Because it's just so funny. The bag, it's just floating.
it just floating.
What's the make fun of movie? Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah, I don't
I
probably.
think it's what it is, where it's
Sure.
like the guy who's just like watching in the corner,
Right.
but he's also filming the bag.
The bag. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh,
And then
imagine being the guy that has to turn in the report of, I think it was a Macy's bag, sir.
yeah, and then so listen to this. That leaves 171 uncharacterized and unattributed, and they are said to have unusual flight activity, meaning just sporadic flight patterns, changing direction in different wind speeds and stuff. And I think that was the biggest thing, where this latest video that was released that I think most people saw, where you hear the audio of the people who are, I guess, interpreting whatever this UFO is, or unidentified object. And they're like giving commentary on what they think it is. And these are like, I think, naval people in the Navy, right?
Right.
So naval personnel. And yeah, so there's, I think that's kind of interesting, because then you're hearing like them freaking out about it. Like, whoa, did you see, like, this is going 120 knots and it just changed direction, and they're just going off on it, right?
Right.
And I think that's pretty interesting, because it's like, that's the first time we've seen that, with people who are supposed to be able to identify or understand how certain things are supposed to move in the air, right?
Mm-hmm,
Aircraft being stumped. And then, like, is it real? Was it not real? But it was released, and it was released by the Pentagon.
So I have two things on that. The first thing was that how I learned about this information.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I do not like the news. I am the furthest thing away from the news I think a human can be without living in a third world country.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I learned about this from a multitude of comedians. Because right around this time, so many comedians moved this into their act of like, how is it that the Pentagon 100% like confirmed there are UFOs that they know nothing about, and nobody even batted an eye?
Right.
Nobody cared. Nobody questioned it. Everybody was just focused on COVID. And it was just like, this was the perfect time to drop it, because now they can be like, hey, we told you.
Right.
You just didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
You know? So that was how I learned about that. And that in its own right, this thing is funny.
I just don't even think it's a big deal.
I don't care.
Because all they did is admit, yeah, there are these things that we don't know what they are.
Right.
And they exist.
Admitting that there's things that they don't know what it is one thing. Admitting that, hey, we have found proof of intelligent life from another planet coming into our not solar system, our atmosphere, and has been like videotaped. That's something different. I feel like we'd have a different reaction to that.
That's not what the report says.
Right. Well,
so
that's what I'm saying.
I know. It's just that's why I don't understand what the big deal would be anyway, right?
So the second thing,
it's because they acknowledged it.
Right.
They acknowledged that they didn't know something.
Right. Which is like, wow.
Cool.
60 years too late.
Hey, we don't know what this stuff is either. Yeah.
So here's the other thing I found really cool. So I've mentioned this before, I think, on at least one of the pods.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel, the Corridor Crew, they're the special effects guys.
Sure. Yeah.
So they have like a little like series thing about, is it real?
Okay.
And basically what it is it's like, they have one on this, like all these alien type things. I think they have 2 different videos on just the aliens, where they look at all this footage that people have like submitted. Like, this is perfect proof of this.
And they see how it's faked, perhaps.
Yes.
Right.
Because they're CGI guys.
Sure.
They know it's crazy how some of the things is, because they'll look at it and they'll be like, whoa. Did you see that right there? Did you see that right there? Yeah, that was a keyframe. Look at the way it curves right there. Yeah, it's an S curve. And like, they're telling you stuff that like no normal person knows.
Sure.
And then you're just like, oh, whoa. And it's really interesting. And they break it down, like how they feel like they did. Sometimes they actually will recreate it and be like, see.
And
it's really cool.
People did the same thing before CGI.
course.
with this, and they knew how film worked, and they understood that. Well, that spot was just like that thing was just an ambient shadow from this effect or whatever it is, right?
Speaking of ambient shadow, so one of the other things they do is there's this one really cool drone shot. Has nothing to do with aliens, by the way. We're taking a left turn real quick.
Oh boy,
has nothing to do with aliens, but it's this one really cool shot in like some sort of snow place where this guy is running and this bear is chasing after him, and the drone like comes down and like you can like turns and like this really really cool like cinematic shot, but it looks like found footage type situation. The bear is CG.
Yeah.
And they figured it out by having to do like all these crazy things about, wait a minute, look at the way this shadow is moving. Oh my gosh, I didn't do the full, it's not real. And it was so cool. It was so great. I loved it.
That's funny.
I recommend it.
Well, thank you for abducting this conversation. So
just be happy I didn't probe it. Anyway, so that's all the stuff that we looked up for aliens as far as like what the world thinks.
yeah.
What do you think? First off, okay, let's bite size it, right? Do you think there is intelligent life somewhere else in like the universe?
I think it has to be
Probability, right?
And even if it was just and you know, call back to probably I don't know how many science fiction movies, but even if it was just us at a different time or in a different dimension or like, and it's just us keeping like revisiting ourselves.
It's Marky Mark
in some way, shape, or
the
form.
Planet of the Apes.
Well, yeah, okay, sure that. Interstellar, you know, is another good example. I know, and you should watch that movie, but I know you don't want to for particular reasons.
No, I don't have any interest.
All right, well, not even when your friend tells you, you should probably just give it a try. You know,
how many movies have I told you should just give a try that you haven't watched?
I've watched most of them.
Most of them, and I've watched most of the ones you've said. So
no, actually, there's quite a bit more that I've said you should.
Whoa! Name two:
Napoleon Dynamite and Interstellar.
First off, both of those movies, you just want me to watch because I have no interest in them. That's the only reason why. The next one you would have said in that list is like Borat.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well,
movies that you know I would not like.
Why you prove my point and allowing me to win the conversation?
You're not winning the conversation.
You asked me to do a specific thing.
I gave
and I accomplished that goal.
But see, I said movies that I said you should watch because you would like. You know for a fact I would not like any of those movies except for maybe Interstellar.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. You know there's no way in hell I'm going to like Borat.
Tenet.
I just don't have any interest in Tenet.
Okay, but you might like it.
It's a possibility.
So that's two.
If it was, yeah, but see, here's the thing.
And it's the same director.
Yeah.
Writer.
Different person doing the score, though.
Yeah.
Because he chose not to do that score so he could go do Dune.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. You throw Tenet on, I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Let's see what Sparkles has in him. I don't mind.
Wow.
Look, man, you earn nicknames. That's how it works.
That's not cool.
Neither was that series.
He's Batman.
For now.
Okay. Anyway.
So, you think, probability-wise.
I mean, if you're talking probability, then yes, right?
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, that would depend on people's beliefs as well, not just like religious beliefs.
Yeah, fair.
Right?
Creationalism, you can't believe in it.
Yeah. So it's just one of those situations where I think it's likely there's something else there, you know?
I agree. I find it hard to believe that the way that so it does go into the whole religious aspect.
It does.
So if you're a person that believes in creationalism, I think I'm saying that correctly, I could be wrong, then obviously aliens don't exist. There's no possible way. Cool. Story over. If you believe in evolution, it's extremely narrow-minded to think that perfect set of variables only happened in one place.
Right.
So I don't think that that's accurate. I feel there has to be other places. And I don't think there's only like one other one. I think there's probably thousands of different.
The fact that there are other galaxies with other suns and so on. I mean, this has to have been replicated. If space is that vast.
Haven't they already found planets that are similar to Earth in other really distant galaxies? I could be totally wrong on this.
Just hear about things and
and that's the thing. You hear about something or you half hear something and you don't get the whole thing. They're talking about something next to you, but then you realize they were probably talking about a movie, maybe.
Mathematically, I think it makes sense that there's something else.
No,
right?
I agree. I agree. Now, here's the other question, right? Is do you think we will ever actually have contact? And if so, who would initiate?
We're already trying, right?
We've been trying for decades.
And what if someone else has also been trying?
Right. That's also quite possible.
You know?
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think that... Let's rephrase. Do you think in our lifetime that we will ever connect with an alien species?
It's interesting, right? Let's say you do throw a God theory into the mix, right?
Fair.
But what if God, of course, didn't want that to happen? So here's a petri dish. And then alongside it, here's another one.
Right.
But they're in separate areas where we're unreachable from.
Are they visible to one another?
Maybe you can see them.
Okay.
Just because petri dishes, they're like clear,
circular,
right?
There's a clear
put
line.
One next to the other one, you can see it, but you can't cross that plastic to get into it, right?
Right.
So maybe we'd be able to view it and see things from it, but can't quite get over to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's something similar to that. We'll always be out of reach. You know?
But, okay, fair.
In a God's infinite knowledge, he puts everyone just out of arm's length because he knows these things will destroy these things. And I don't want my things over here mixing with my things over here.
Fair, but also then think about it in the sense of like, red ants and black ants when you put them together, but they're separated, where the pheromones will then kill one another.
Right.
They don't have to necessarily be there. If you were stuck on an invisible wall over there, and I was stuck on an invisible wall over here, we could like put up signs or do like flashing of lights. I think eventually we'd be able to figure it out, some communication.
Sure.
In that like scenario.
Yeah, maybe.
But like,
we just can't get far enough to the boundary to.
Or you're saying like it's like more like there's one petri dish over here and there's one like over there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or different fridges.
Different fridges.
So,
man, this guy really wanted to separate us.
I don't know. It's one of those things that it depends on how long Earth will last or humans will last.
Right.
I think you give it enough time.
Scientifically, don't we know exactly how long Earth will last before the sun blows up? Based upon calculations, like 61 million years or something like that.
Perhaps. But the world was supposed to end how many times already? So.
Yeah, but that was never stated by scientists.
I mean, of their time,
I don't know enough to be able to say that that's correct. Because it's not like, here's the thing, like the Mayan calendar thing. It's not like the Mayans said, in 2012, the world will end. It was just that they just stopped making the calendar after that point. And then other people later on were like, it must mean this.
That's not what I'm talking about. I bet if you look and search, the history of it in science, people have predicted the Earth ending multiple times. Really? Not just like religious scholars who try to, because that's basically what that is. It's like fulfilling prophecy. But like, I'm talking about like scientists, the world is going to end due to global climate change or warning. And years and years ago, these threats and these fears, they've been existing forever, right? Not to say that it's going to continue. We're going to get, yes, eventually things are going to happen. Things are going to deteriorate. That's just what happens, right? So eventually things will come to an end. That's just what they do.
Yeah. I'm not trying to discount anything you're saying. I've just never really been aware of something that was based on scientific. It might just be that I just didn't know that one was.
Can we be innovative enough
right.
that we can supersede the destruction of our planet and continue to live beyond that?
Yeah.
As you said, in a space station or, these satellite colonies, in other places in our galaxy, right?
Yeah.
and just kind of be more nomadic that way, like Star Trek and Space Approach, where they're trying to find, new places.
Is that like Battlestar Galactica, where they were like traveling at all times?
Yeah.
I never saw it, so I don't know. Yeah. Either rendition, but I did watch a great YouTube channel that went over it in extreme detail.
Oh, good.
Okay. So my original question, I don't think you got your answer, because then we started going down the other path of it. But do you think we will have contact with an intelligent species other than our own before you and I die?
I mean, we do. I mean, there are intelligent species in this planet that we're in contact with. We just think we're better than, which we are. But
so let me rephrase so that you understand about the topic that we're talking about. Do you think we would find an alien species from a different planet in our lifetime?
What I said could be accurate. What if bacteria or whatever coming from an asteroid lands on the Earth and then it evolves into dolphins or whatever it is, right? My point is, I'm not trying to piss you off. But my point is, what if the species we have on this planet is because things have evolved and we're all made up of originated from alien bacteria, if you believe in evolution, right?
Right.
So
let me rephrase the question again. Do you think little green men are going to show up in a spaceship before you die?
Why do they have to be men?
Cool. So we're not answering any more questions. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that will, I think in one way or another, there'll be some type of contact or interaction. If they exist. If they exist, yes. Because we're going to keep poking our nose in the galaxy and keep throwing signals out and putting satellites out and doing things where, we're shining a big light, just like you said, and something's going to catch the attention of something else.
I agree. I just don't think it will happen in our lifetime.
No.
I don't think technology is going to be advanced enough to be able to go far enough to be able to reach enough possibilities for that probability lottery to actually come up as a winner.
You never know. Yeah.
I just don't think that, don't get me wrong. I think that in the next 60 years, because it's about as long as we have a chance of living, technology will be like 50 times greater than it is now.
Oh yeah.
But we still haven't reached like another planet with a human yet. So,
no.
So I don't think that in 60 years, we're all of a sudden going to be able to reach that far.
It's true.
So, I do think that maybe in the next like couple 100 years, quite possible.
Yeah.
But unless the other entity is initiating contact, nah.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. There's a lot of space out there.
Oh, absolutely. It's infinite.
Yeah.
Literally.
And ever expanding.
Which is also really weird, because if it's infinite, how can it continue to expand? Because infinite is already infinite.
It's pretty interesting how,
right.
And that's why the science there is a little bit, that's why there are people who doubt. That's why religious people have an argument, basically. Because of things like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but, those who live in glass houses.
Yeah.
When an entire belief system is based off the fact that it has to be faith, and by definition, faith is something that you have zero proof of. That's why it's faith.
Yeah.
Then you shouldn't really say anything.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, really? Because I have the same amount of proof that goes the other way.
Yeah.
And that's why they're always going to constantly be.
They're always going to be at odds.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do you believe that there will ever be a point in time where our technology advances to the point where the unbelievable science fiction, like spaceships that we create in like the movies, will be realistic? And if so, like, are we talking decades, centuries, or like millennia?
Funny thing is, I think that's already happened in multiple people's lifetimes, right?
That's
I think if you look back, decades beyond, before us, people didn't think we'd have half the stuff we'd have. And just look at the cell phone.
It's based off the Star Trek communicators.
Isn't it insane?
Yeah.
Right?
Lightsaber.
Right.
We have them now.
Isn't it awesome? I mean,
we have ones, but they're like not the same. They are plasma cut.
Lasers were science fiction.
Yeah.
And they are real and used for many applications. So it's just, I don't know. I do think that the stuff, I mean, now, why don't we have flying cars? We can make a flying car. Is it practical, sustainable, able to be piloted by someone? No. But can they make one? Yes. They actually have hovering motorcycles. So
not only that, but we're getting closer and closer to an Iron Man suit every day.
Yeah.
You've seen how some of those crazy ones are now? Where they have like that big old like arm thing that like literally propels them from one side to another, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we're never going to get to the Rocketeer in our lifetime, but I'd like to wish that we could.
The show that we've been watching just proves the fact that there are things that we thought were completely science fiction that have been used in the government for spying and stuff like that for years.
It's a Netflix series, Spycraft.
Yeah.
Super, super interesting. We're only like a third of the way through it, but no, it's been eye-opening.
Yeah.
There's been multiple times where we're watching it while having a conversation, and then all of a sudden they say something, and we both just kind of shut up and look at it, and look at the mouth slowly dropping, like, that's real?
That exists.
I thought that was like a James Bond thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty frightening and cool at the same time. Like, there's some things also like, what's that one movie, Get Smart, that was based off the TV show?
Oh, yeah.
And had like the phone in the shoe and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that stuff was real. The crazy one, and then we'll end out because it has nothing to do with aliens, but the one thing that was so interesting we saw tonight was the fact of the bug that's a light bulb that slowly fluctuates its vibrancy based upon the echoes of people talking, which then can be seen from a camera some far distance away, that then can like Morse code figure out what words are being said to then turn it into audio.
Even if a curtain's drawn, because enough light will bleed through the perimeter for it to pick it up.
If that's not science fiction, I don't know what is.
And if you, through infrared, you can still see it. Yeah, it's insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, So I guess, the question really comes down to, after all that, I guess we both kind of believe that statistically speaking, there's got to be aliens.
Yeah. I don't, yes, but I don't believe any of these accounts of like, sightings or crop circles or any of that nonsense. In all honesty, I don't.
I forgot to look into crop circles because that's the biggest load of like, nope.
I just don't see it. Now, I will say this. Apparently, my mother and father, in I think it was the 80s, I want to say it had to be because they were together then, where they happened to see and with a bunch of people. They were on a highway and everyone stopped. People pulled their cars over. And apparently there were reports. And like during that time, very well known in New York off this highway, there was some unidentified flying object that no one knew what the heck it was. And then it made like headlines or whatever it is and all that kind of stuff too.
Right.
Now, could that have been just something government related or drone or, I mean,
the very first drone.
Who knows, right? Like they're testing it. And, and that's what I think most of these things are just advancements in technology and people testing things without the knowledge of the public. And that's it.
I will say one more thing on that. Because for a time I lived in Boise, right? And during that time frame, they had the, I think they're called the Warthog jets, the one of the big like supersonic jets at that time. And they were newer. And so when they were doing maneuvers, which was like every other day, we would hear constantly because they were going supersonic.
Right.
The same thing that now you would hear in Florida with like when the space shuttle leaves and all that kind of stuff, the sonic booms. We heard them all the time to the point where you didn't even notice it anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. But if you were someone from out of state and you came in there one day and you heard that, you'd be like, what the heck is that?
What is that? Yeah.
And so it's all about what you're used to, right?
Sure.
So like, and then also what you're willing to accept. if we go onto YouTube right now and we type in Russian dash cam footage, we'll find like 4 billion UFO things.
Sure.
But because it's from a country that we don't deem as trustworthy, we don't believe anything we see. Sure. As a nation, I'm not saying you or me, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody credits anything like that. If it was the same thing, if it was in China, nobody would believe it.
Now, I'll argue in this day and age, if there were aliens among us or people from other planets, they can hide in plain sight and no one will believe it.
Oh,
no one will believe that it's real, whatever the thing is, or
yeah. You don't even need to have like the whole scroll ability to shapeshift. You can just be like a like Men in Black style, moderately humanoid looking person that's a little freaky looking, and they'd be like, "Yeah, because he's an alien," and the whole time he's like, "Yeah, like I'm an alien."
Right. Exactly.
Nobody would buy it. Yeah. So
it's funny.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening to the Venti Questions podcast.
Yeah.
Of course, we appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed our conversation on aliens.
Aliens.
You know the meme that I'm going from that, right? The dude from the original like History Channel Aliens like special.
Yeah.
The crazy hair.
Crazy hair.
It's just, you think? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Making sure. I made it multiple times. Just wanted to make sure you understood what I was coming from.
History Channel. Ancient aliens.
Yeah. But if you want to know more about what we're keeping up to and stuff like that, you can always check us out on Twitter. At the Venti _questions, which I think, you know what we should do? We should post some stuff about the TBD named card game. That'd be fun.
We got to name that thing, huh?
Yeah, no, we have no idea. That we should probably figure that out. Also, you can totally check us out on Instagram at Venti Questions, as well as our YouTube channel, which has some different things on there besides just the podcast itself. Mm-hmm. Which nowadays you can do at youtube.com/@Venti Questions.
Yeah.
But please make sure that you're letting everybody know about the podcast and everything like that. Make sure you're sharing it on social media, and then leave a rating and review if you're listening to us through the Audible version of this. And then if you are watching us on YouTube, do us a favor and hit that like, subscribe button. Leave a comment. That'd be great. Just that way I have something to do when I'm editing. It's kind of like say, "Hey, thanks. We appreciate that." Yeah, awesome. Engagement always helps in everything.
Yeah.
But if you want to know what we're thinking about other stuff, make sure you come back next week when we are talking about animals that have jobs.
We're not talking about Michael.
That one hurts. I feel like he came up with that topic just to make the stinger.
You filthy animal.
Yep. Not cool. But anywho, we're going to talk about all the different cool stuff with those. And then other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Out of this world.